Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. On behalf of Bartlett and West, I want to thank you for joining us. We are so excited to be offering live webinars to engage our subject matter experts as they share their knowledge and expertise. Today, the webinar is going to be 30 minutes in length, along with some time at the end for Q&A. During the webinar today, please send your questions through the chat window, which is located in the lower portion of your screen. Your questions will be monitored throughout the presentation, and we will be issuing PDH certificates for those attending the live session that have elected to receive them. We do encourage you to visit our website at www.bartlettwest.com and click on the Webinars tab to see upcoming webinars and to register. Please note that all of our webinars will be available on demand after the live session, and so we certainly hope you can join us. Today we're going to hear from Scott Komerick. Scott serves as a senior engineering specialist here at Bartlett and West. He obtained a civil engineering degree from the University of Kansas and is licensed as a professional engineer in multiple states. Scott has more than 12 years of experience executing midstream infrastructure, asset management, and technology projects, and he's worked on a variety of diverse projects implementing 3D BIM modeling, GIS, LiDAR, and other emerging technologies. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott to take it away.
Thanks, Rebecca, and thanks everyone for participating today. As Rebecca said, we're going to be talking about leveraging technology to streamline your operations. And the type of technologies that we're talking about today is really kind of a suite of technologies that we use in different processes to bundle together as packages or unique solutions for our clients to help keep their projects moving forward and also increase efficiencies in our own work to help us execute our projects. So with that, we'll get going. And brief overview, we're going to talk about some different advancements in technology, machine learning, data acquisition, especially mobile technologies, and what's really coming up is collaboration tools and doing things to help connect us with people, and with the COVID-19 the way it is, collaboration on digital platforms is becoming a very prominent issue today. So we're going to tackle a little bit about that. So on advancement of technology, machine learning has really started taking stride here in the last few years, and you're going to hear more and more about machine learning and how that's changing a lot of industries and what we're doing with those technologies. And if you haven't already seen this, I'm sure you will. There's Bitly and Microsoft, and a lot of our platforms are moving over to web-based cloud solutions and cloud-based computing. If you haven't gotten on board with that, you need to be tracking that, because that's something that's going to be impacting all of our industries as we move forward. It's coming down the road, and some of them are already forcing us to move to cloud-based solutions. So keep that in mind as you prepare for the future. So mobile technologies, we've all got phones, tablets. We're always, being able to collect data and do things through mobile apps, and we're going to talk some about that and how we use those mobile applications to be able to communicate things from the field real time with the office and be able to feed information real time back to our guys out there on the site, and be able to work really efficiently through these mobile technologies and web interfaces. So that, and the collaborative tools and dashboards, we have some really great technologies that have really just started coming to life here in the last year or so that we really have started to embrace and are really excited about how we can use these moving forward and helping our clients be more efficient and also help ourselves internally. And one thing just to note is, we're always connected. So through social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, there's always a connection point, and you're never seem to be able to get away from it. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Here, have some familiar icons up here. You'll see like Google and Amazon. They all use a lot of tools within your mobile device for data mining. So whenever you download an app, it's asking you to use your location tracking or your camera or your microphone, and it's using all that information to do, specialized targeted marketing content for you. And some people like that, some people don't. I have another polling question I'd like to throw out there. So when we talk about technology, do we just want it cheap and easy? Do we want to have just enough to do my job, or does it have to be, it needs to make me money? Like most people on the personal level, there's a lot of people that they just want the newest iPhone as soon as it comes out, and they just have to have it. So, all right. So when we talk about this, so like Facebook, facial recognition and object identification is like, how does this apply to us and what they're doing? Well, we're able to take that same type of technology, so like facial recognition or object identification, where if you have a Google phone, you can snap a picture of somebody's shoes, and it's going to populate the nearest retail store and give you prices and listings of those shoes. Or if a friend posts a picture of you on Facebook, Facebook knows who you are and can tag you and let you know that somebody had tagged you in a photo. Well, how do we use that in our line of work? Well, we've developed some technologies and tools where we can use cloud-based LiDAR information to where we could scan a railway, and we can automatically identify utility crossings or objects along the edges of the right-of-way, and be able to automatically geospatially place that and categorize it and log it in a geodatabase, so that we can then start managing our assets more accurately and in real time. So when we talk about machine learning, there's a lot of other things, and we'll talk about it, is we just got to get the data. So first thing, like right here, we're saying you got to dump the data, and then we segregate it, parse it out, and then put it back together. And that's one thing machine learning is really, really good at, is if you have repetitive tasks, you should be able to teach the machine to do it. So I'll go over an example here where we're able to take some legacy data. So this is a mill test report from one of the projects I was working on, where we were able to take the MTRs, and by using machine learning, we could OCR these PDFs and then parse out the data that we wanted, being the heat number and the wall thickness, the diameter, the place the mill came from, all the information about that piece of pipe. When it showed up out on the job site, we could scan that, get it into a database, so then we could start putting that database together or tying that data back to other data sets. So we would have our surveyors out there logging and shooting in GPS locations of welds, and we were able to tie information from what they were doing in the field to these paper documents, and being able to spatially correct this information, so we could then do TVC, or traceable, verifiable, and complete, which is a big deal in the pipeline industry or midstream industry right now, with all of the regulations around pipeline safety. It's very important that they need to log and catalog and know exactly what materials are in their assets and where they are along the lines of their assets. So this is a big deal in the pipeline industry. There's also a lot of applications in rail when you're talking about converting legacy data, and or if there's things in the DOT space where you're doing sign inventory or things of that nature that may need to be converted into a geospatial database to be able to do advanced analytics on it. So here's a little bit of the categories. So like for here, when we ran it through the system, we were pulling out just key identifiers to be able to OCR this and then start extracting the information and then populate a database so that we can tie it back to that geospatial data set. And when we talk about, we're going to transition over to a different type of data acquisition. So, there's a lot of data out there on the web, and we talk about the Internet of Things, and there's a lot of free data out there, but a lot of times that data is not in a real useful format for us straight off the bat. So it's being able to go out and grab that data, bring it down, and put it into a format that is useful for us. So right here's a couple screenshots off of the North Dakota Incorporation Commission where we're taking well data and we're using a process behind the scenes to be able to go to their GIS websites and pull down that information into our own data sets so then we can do some advanced analytics on it and be able to track trends and be able to then do forecasting and other things that helps give us a better picture of what's going on here. Where we've done this for a client where they were developed a solution for royalty owners to be able to do budget forecasting and be able to do revenue forecasting based off of the commodity price and the well production, and being able to look at well production curves, and based off that we could forecast revenue projections for them based off of this information. And this is free information that you could get, but it's not very helpful in its native format. So it's, again, being able to do that. And when we're talking about large data sets, it can take hours to pull that down off the website. So we have FME and some other tools that we run systematic routines in the background to go out and grab that information, bring it down into our data set so we can do our jobs without having to have somebody go up there and waste 2 hours every day or every couple days. It's an automated process, again, doing this through machine learning and other tools where we can also monitor websites so where if something changes, it triggers a process to go out and grab something for us. So very, very handy being able to use this machine learning for going and getting data acquisition and other things like that. I'm going to transition to mobile technology. Like I said before, mobile technology, a lot of us know about using tablets or phones or things like that, but a lot of that is there's different systems that we use behind the scenes to help enhance that mobile technology. So we have a lot of professionals here that use ArcGIS Online, Survey 123, or Arc Collector to build custom forms to help with the workflow, and how that data gets automatically uploaded to our system so the guys in the office can see real time what's going on in the field. And a little bit later I'll show you some custom dashboards and other things that we use to help communicate what is needed in the field and the field getting that information back to us in a near real-time situation. Now there are some challenges with this, and if you don't have either Wi-Fi or cell coverage, sometimes there's a data lag, but in 95 or more % of the cases, your data collector or the system that you're using is going to log that information, and as soon as you get a connection, it will automatically upload that information without you have to do anything. It will just automatically bring it in, and then the guys in the office can see it. So talk about the custom forms. This is actually a very crude form that I built, and the guys kind of gave me heck about it, but I'm not a developer, like I said, so for me to go in there and create my own form and bring this in. Just goes to show you how easy some of this technology is to use. And the nice thing about it is it's flexible. So if you have a paper form and your guys are out there collecting information on a piece of paper or a regular form, you can customize these forms to look very close, if not exactly like the forms that they're used to using. They would just be in a digital format to be able to fill in that information automatically. And there's another thing that we can do, and this is something we haven't tested out yet, but being able to simply take a snapshot. Say you have the workforce and some folks in there just say, I'm not going to use the mobile technology. I can't stand it. I'm using my paper forms, and that's very prominent in some of the clients that I work with. And being able to simply take a snapshot of that form and have it uploaded, and then again being able to use some of those other tools that I talked about earlier about being able to do data extraction from those images to populate your database, so you end up not having to have somebody back of the office take that data, that handwritten form, and then have to type all that information in. So there's ways to, even if you don't have somebody out there that's really up to speed on using the technology, you still can use the technology and make your operations more efficient. So we'll talk about spatial data here. We talked earlier about, wanting to capture locations, and we got a lot of information out there, especially if it's in a paper form. It's not spatially placed, so your data isn't as really valuable as it could be, especially when you're talking about linear assets. So when you're talking about a roadway corridor, a rail corridor, a pipeline corridor, whatever it may be, you really need to know where that information is along your asset. But there, when we talk about spatial locations, you may just want a general location. I just need to know where my project site is. You have here an example of pipeline stationing. If I'm managing an asset or managing a project, I need to know where a particular anomaly is. If there's metal loss at a certain spot and I need to go dig up a section of pipe, I need to know where to go. I can use pipeline stationing. Some of that becomes challenging if that's your basis of location and you have a reroute or something like that in your pipeline or rail system, and then you have to adjust that stationing. We've done some algorithms where we've extracted off the original baseline, being able to extract XYZ or lat long coordinates of an ID across or a stationing across the pipeline. That way, once you redo the alignment and that stationing changes, that position along the line doesn't change because you've locked it down by a geospatial coordinates. So talk about survey grade, GPS. Most phones you get just regular navigation grade, but you can get Bluetooth devices that also you can connect to your phone or tablet to bring in how tight that location is. I know that we've used I think it's called the Bat Elf, and we have some other technologies where there'll be sub feet, so you can hook this Bluetooth device to your phone and go out there and get sub-meter or even sub-foot accuracy. And I believe Leica or maybe Trimble even have some units that can even go down to sub-inch on spatial locations at this point. I know the technology is developing quickly, and soon it's just the networks are getting so great and being able to tie these things down to where a lot of projects early on trying to use these mobile technologies really had a bad taste in their mouth from not being spatially correct because they were using navigation grade locations, and it just did not work for their need on the project. So there's other technologies that I haven't brought up really that can really help you refine that and be able to use these mobile technologies with confidence that you're getting correct positions out there in the field. So when we talk about collaboration, we got data management. So we have all of our different work groups. So we have our safety guys, our constructions, operations, inspections. Everyone wants something different. And so we're going to talk about some different tools that we use that we can bring all that data into one repository, but then parse out what each individual work group wants to see, because the engineer necessarily doesn't need to know what operations has, or vice versa when it comes to right-of-way needing to know about inspection or testing reports. So there's just different folks need different information, and you don't want to throw all the information at everyone because it becomes overwhelming, and if you have to make it easy for them. So the easier you make it for them, the more likely they will adopt and use that technology. So I really caution you to try to strip things down to the minimum of what the guys need and not throw too much at them, because it does become overwhelming. So let's see. This is a really great tool that we recently started using. This technology is a Matterport technology that we've created. It's an imaging software that goes in, and we can scan these with little phone units, and it's very quick and easy to go in there and capture this information, and it's a really low-cost way of going and grabbing lots and lots of information. So this is an example of a project we did where we were going to construction bid, and because of the COVID-19 issues on being able to meet, they were able to go in and do a virtual walk of the site. And I'll show a couple pictures here, but they have some tools within here to where you can navigate, and the little guy on the left there, you can actually walk inside and jump around from spot to spot and look 360 views all the way around here, and then you can jump from floor to floor, and there's a measurement tool. And another thing over here on the side, you can share, so you can share that with anybody. It'll send a URL link out to them, and then they can jump in there and look at it. You can leave, I believe you can leave notes in there, and if you have the nice VR goggles, you can actually put on the VR goggles and literally walk around the site as if you were inside of it. So it's really cool technology. So here's just another snapshot, and this is not a picture that we took with a static camera. This was actually a snapshot out of the 3D model that this technology developed. And so that was a measurement that was taken out of it, and just snapped an image of that measurement. And I believe this one was done with the Matterport, the middle camera there on the lower left. That was done, or this model was created with that camera, and I believe it is less than 1 inch accuracy, so you can go in there and with any confidence be able to take measurements and look around, and everything's within 1 inch. So, and then the camera there on the right, that's a little lower grade camera, and it's a little bit over 1 inch worth of accuracy, but still, depending on your project and what you need, it's a very low cost, quick way to be able to collect data and be able to share that information and limit the number of people that actually need to go on sites, and be able to really help enhance collaboration between the contractors and the guys in the office, and limit the operations of a facility as well. So the less people you have out there, the less intrusive it is. Now this unit on the far left, that's a Leica unit. That is a really high accuracy LiDAR camera that I believe it gets down to within 1/4 inch or less in accuracy. So it grabs a lot of information, and it has your own processing, so you'll process that data yourself in the office, but the cameras, the 2 cameras on the right, that you actually, it uploads to a cloud-based service, and literally you can upload that to their website, and by the time you get back to the office, you have a 3D model ready for you to go in and start playing with and working with. So it's, again, just really great technology. So I talked a little bit about the Web GIS and how we interface using this technology. So the Matterport's one example of being able to share it through web-based services. We're going to show another few through ArcGIS Online. So this is a new, we just set this up here, I believe, just about a week ago. So we got a call on Friday, and then I believe it was by the next following Monday, we had brought this or developed this dashboard for the Fort Berthold tribe to be able to put a link to this dashboard for their communities. So there's some interactive features to this dashboard to where you can look at, current state. You can see the history and when people got tested. So this was in response to the COVID-19 initiative to try and make their people more aware and help their communities stay safe and know where to go for testing centers, know how many being tested and treated. I actually went to this website, and thankfully there hasn't been really any more tested confirmed here since this last snapshot, but I did see that just in the last few days there's been 3 recoveries. So just a great tool to be able to service our communities and feed them information and help them make decisions on how they live their lives and stay safe within their communities. Here's using the same technology but on a project. So this is actually a project that we're doing, and so there's a lot of information here. So we can go in, and all this stuff is collected real time out in the field. So we create these dashboards based off the information we want. And so this red dot here in the middle, that's actually a place where one of our construction inspectors are out there taking a photo. And that photo, you click on the dot and the photo shows up on the right, and information about that point is displayed. You can see real-time construction progress. So we can see here, the 2-inch pipe, where how many feet are installed, what percentage is installed compared to our design baseline. So you see we're 11% over, so we must be very close to being finished. But in this case, there's probably a reroute or some other something that happened that created there to be more pipe installed than what was designed. So it's a great way for us to be able to track, where we're at, and all of these different line items can be tied back to bid tabs. So you can get real-time cost forecasting. So as the line is getting installed and how much pipe's getting installed, you can tie those back to bid tabs and see what the cost or how much you have invested in that project at any given time. Another thing you can do is look at also the trend of construction progress. So you can start forecasting, how many feet per day am I installing, or how many miles per day am I getting in the ground, and be able to do forecasting on what's coming up, what's my next month's costs going to be to my project, and be able to track that with, hey, am I on schedule? Am I going to meet my deadlines to get this installed in time? And the other great thing is on the map itself, you notice we have right-of-way shown here, where the construction limits are, some environmental items being placed on there to help, the contractors and inspectors be aware. And the great thing about this is these are URLs that can be shared out to really anybody to be able to consume this data. And it's, again, completely interactive, to where if you select just the 3-inch diameter pipe, you can just find out information just on the 3-inch diameter pipe. So it's really great that this technology helps us just interact with the guys in the field and stay up to date with our projects. This is a risk assessment, basically the same it is the same technology. It's just a different dashboard that we set up for different applications. So again, use of the same technology, but this is for a risk assessment project where we're doing storm sewer evaluations and being able to help our client understand where they want to spend their money. So if they have assets that are in jeopardy or higher risk than others, they know how to prioritize their budget to maintain their project or their systems. Particularly for pipelines, pipeline safety, you're required to do continuous improvement. This is also a way to do risk assessment and be able to figure out where you can overlay your leak detection data, your corrosion data, any type of customer or right-of-way issues. You can put anything along there if it's a class 1 location or a high consequence area, and overlay these different factors in here to be able to do a risk assessment scoring, and then be able to make calls on how you want to appropriate your budget for the year and plan out how we're going to replace these. So I have another polling question I wanted to throw out there. Here seems to be a good time to do this. By the way, is there anybody that has any questions of anything I've covered so far? All right. Very good. All right, thanks everybody. So I don't see any questions at this time. I'll keep on going. So we're getting towards the end here. So one thing I do want to caution everybody about is, data quality. I have always used, and I know a lot of people have heard this term, but crap in equals crap out. So you kind of need to make sure that the data you're using is the most highly accurate and current information available. So and when you talk about data quality, I've kind of laid out what I see as the most important thing. Hey, having the data sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere doesn't do a whole lot of good for really anybody. So it needs to be available, it needs to be reliable, it needs to be accurate. And one I probably ought to put up there is current, because old data doesn't really help anyone unless you're trying to track trends or do something like that. So talk about QC/QA. This is another great thing about a lot of these technologies, that we then, once we get it into a format that is usable, whether that be in a geospatial database or just a database in itself, SQL Server or whatever, you can start running analytics off of it and being able to start seeing those trends. And the one thing I like to do is start comparing complementary information. I mentioned earlier about leak detection data versus if you have an ILI tool run, or if you did a ECDA or an indirect inspection where you're looking for coating flaws along your pipe, you could start overlaying that information on top of each other. So you could start, doing risk assessments on that. And as far as the mobile technologies, and when you're starting to talk about hundreds of thousands of records, that if you don't have some sort of automated process to do that, you're relying on humans to enter that information, and every time, and for every character they enter, that's a potential risk of an error. So when you go in and eliminate the human process out of doing that, you can have your folks focusing on quality control on that data and making sure that data is right versus checking other folks' mistakes and being able to have more confidence in your data set. And when you have better data, you can have more confidence in how you evaluate your risk and how you can forecast your projects and be able to maintain schedules, all that, because if you don't have good information, it's hard to make good decisions. So, and the other thing is that the data collection and data review are two separate processes. You know, you should never have the same person check their own work, because more than likely they're going to miss their own mistakes. So if you're checking, you know, having the computer do that and you're having a person check it, you're going to have better quality. So that 95% accuracy, that's actually, we figured when we scanned, I don't know how many hundreds of documents, the official initial run out of it, we got 95% accuracy when we went through and checked to make sure. And that's pretty good when you consider that was just straight out of the gate. We just ran it through there to see what our data looked like, and it came out with that, and then we tweaked a few things and be able to run it. And that's one thing with machine learning. The more times you do stuff and the more times you run it through a process, the more data points you have to fix things, and it just gets better and better and more accurate with each time. So it's really great to be able to do those types of things. So here we're getting to the end, so I'm just going to recap some of the benefits here. You know, it's handwritten forms. You know, those are going to the wayside fast. We're going to a more digital technology age, and you know, if you're not on board with going and doing things with you know, mobile technologies, it's something you really should consider, because it's going that way. It does really promotes consistency and accuracy of information. So you can set drop-down boxes, dialog boxes, check marks, things like that, so that the data is systematically put in there. You don't have one person writing lots of notes in theirs versus, you know, some people are really good with inspection forms. Some people, you know, poor handwriting, other things, you can't read it legible, spill coffee on it, things like that. Really make it hard to read those paper forms sometimes. And like I said, it just promotes consistency and accuracy. And once you get the system set up, and that's the main thing, is that most of our projects are very similar in the process. And so you can keep using that same, you know, data structure and processes from project to project to help promote that consistency. And once you get into it, it really does increase in efficiency, and overall it will help your bottom line when it comes down to it. So I believe we're at the end of the presentation. I do apologize for the technical issues with the start, but thank you for persevering with me. And if there's any questions, we'll take it now. And if you don't feel like leaving any questions here, you can always reach out to me. There's my phone or email at any time. So I'll hang out here for a few minutes and wait to see if you have any questions. So.
Thank you, Scott. Again, on behalf of Bartlett and West, I want to thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to offer these live webinars, and we're going to get better with each webinar, so thanks for your patience today.